to say. Life's a tune today, Brentocast all the way. Family stories roll, laughs and heart on roll.
Hello, friends. We are back again only 2 days later for episode number 64 of Brentocast, flying high in the Brento mothership. A little funny thing happened actually after the last comical version of Brentocast. Apparently, Mr. Absolute Virtual Magic was a real hit. I got more comments on that episode and more views right off the gate of anything I have. So who knew a virtual co-host would be a thing? So I've decided that in the interest of trying to produce another one and see if people react similarly, I'm going to have back our special co-host, Absolute Virtual Magic, Mr. Magic, back again to do his thing on Brentocast. If you guys keep liking it, keep commenting, I'll keep doing this. And I wanted to give a little thought to perhaps what we could do with the character, and movie reviews seem really old hat. That's what me and the real guy did before. So, and there's so many great review shows out there. So I decided to do a little bit of something different since our former collaboration was about speculative fiction. I decided to go ahead and just bring Mr. Magic back as a guest to sort of help me read speculative fiction, which I wrote my very own self for my very own brain pan. It being Halloween, it just seemed to make sense, and maybe I'll try to complete a complete story within the rest of the month for Halloween.
Welcome to Scary Stories with Mr. Magic. This one is from the mind of Johnny Brento. It's called The Forest Curse. Chapter 1, The Unwelcome Visitors. The oppressive summer sun bore down on the group of hikers as they trudged through the dense, untamed forest outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. The four friends, Jake, tall and muscular with a rugged demeanor, Rachel, physically fit and intellectually sharp with piercing green eyes, Ben, scrawny and perpetually anxious, and Mark, laid back with unkempt brown hair and an easygoing attitude, had embarked on an exploration of uncharted territory, with each step testing the boundaries of their stamina. "I can't believe we're doing this," Ben panted, wiping sweat from his brow. "We're going to get lost out here and never be seen again." Rachel rolled her eyes, her steps assured as she advanced along the rugged path. "Don't be so dramatic, Ben. We have a map, a compass, and each other. We'll be fine." As they forced their way through the underbrush, the forest abruptly opened into a clearing. There, nestled amongst the trees, stood an enigmatic tent village. The tents were immaculate, filled with trendy clothing, valuable trinkets, and modern electronics, yet conspicuously abandoned. The group stared in stunned silence as curiosity, swiftly overcoming their initial trepidation, set the mood. "Whoa, check this out," Jake said, his eyes widening as he scanned the tents. "These people must be loaded. Look at all this stuff." Rachel approached a tent filled with designer clothing, and her brow furrowed in confusion. None of this makes sense. Why would anyone leave all this behind? "Maybe they left in a hurry," Mark suggested, peeking into a tent glinting with jewelry. "Or maybe they're just super organized and tidy." Ben wandered over to a tent stacked with modern electronics. His eyes lit up at the sight of a shiny new laptop. "We could make a fortune with this stuff," his fingers hovering over it. Rachel shot him a sharp look. "No way. We're not stealing anything. We'll leave it just as we found it." Jake frowned, glancing at a pile of designer clothes. "Come on, Rachel. They're not using it. We could really use the cash." Rachel sighed, torn between her loyalty to her friends and her moral compass. "I know it's tempting, but we have to respect their privacy. Let's just leave everything alone." Jake reluctantly agreed, and the group continued to explore the village, their initial excitement tempered by a creeping unease. The tents, with their untouched luxury, seemed to whisper secrets, the flaps of canvas brushing against the breeze like hushed voices sharing confidences. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, an eerie stillness settled over the camp. The sensation of being watched became almost unbearable. Prompting their decision to leave, they marked their route with a sequence of limbs wrapped in orange duct tape from Mark's backpack, in case they needed to find their way back. Back at their campsite, the unease only deepened. As darkness fell, every rustle of leaves and a snap of a twig made them jump. They huddled around the campfire, their eyes darting nervously at the shadows just beyond the flickering light. "Do you think those people will come back for their stuff?" Ben asked, his voice trembling. Rachel stared into the flames, her expression somber. "I don't know, but I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of them." The forest around them seemed to hold its breath, the wind dying down, until there was nothing but an oppressive silence. Even the crackling of the fire seemed muffled, as though the forest had swallowed all sound. The friends spoke in hushed tones, their voices barely audible above a whisper, as if afraid of disturbing the quiet that had descended upon them.
Wow, that's pretty good, Mr. Magic. I think you are a real pro at narrating writing. I really appreciate the job that you did there. Thanks for all the gravitas. Very, very cool. What did you think of the story? I should add that I am not telling Mr. Magic the complete story up front. He is getting it one chapter at a time, just like you guys. So what did you think, Mr. Magic?
I think you're a very talented storyteller, Johnny Brento. Not that I ever told you that in the former days, but you always were an inspiration or a reflection of what I was trying to do, shine back on me in a brilliant way. I like this story a lot. In fact, it reminds me of a pitch that you once gave me for a film, which I'm sorry to say I was dismissive of at the time. And basically, you gave me this cool idea of a story very similar to this one. I won't reveal the nature of the script, but just to say that it was really good and very suspenseful and entirely original. That's sort of your forte, Johnny Brento, is originality, doing things that, we haven't seen exactly that way in the past. And I think you were staying in a hotel somewhere with your wife for some sort of training convention or something, and you took the time to write this cool script on your phone, no less, and you sent it to me. And again, I think I said something kind of smart ass like, "Hey, go ahead and write it. I don't deal in, ideas. Show me an actual script." And basically, the hope was that you would probably just forget the idea and then just would move on to the next thing that I wrote, or either you'd spend all that time writing the full script out, and then of course I could find something else wrong with it, because I would say one of my typical lines like writing is rewriting, or I might refer to Save the Cat or the Sid Fields writing method or something like that to mildly discourage you. But in any case, I like this story. I'm excited to see where it goes, and right in time for Halloween too.
Yes, spooky season is upon us. Well, I'm glad you like the story, and don't worry about it, Mr. Magic. I try not to stress the small stuff. A friend told me once that we typically just remember the good things, and I think I'm very much geared that way. So the minor little this or that, I don't get too up in arms about it. Plus, stuff like that tends to only bother people if that's struck a nerve and that they're threatened. Gaslighting doesn't work on people that have confidence and know their value and know their role, and that's definitely me. So, no worries. But hey, if you're down for the calls, we'll have you come back and read chapter 2 next episode.
Oh, absolutely! I can't wait to see where this story goes.
Wow, I've never heard you so enthusiastic for something written by someone other than yourself. Speaking of something you wrote, I'm actually kind of excited about a new AI tool that I've been using for my projects. It's called Notebook LM. It's a free Google tool. You can search for it. Anyone can use it for free right now. One of the cool things that it will do is take a script and sort of give you feedback on it in the form of a podcast. Now, I have not listened to this, but I did give it a script of yours, Mr. Virtual Magic, and I'm not, obviously, you shared that with me, and personally, I'm not going to put that out into the world. But what I will do is put out a audio podcast, a little segment coming up here, and it's just going to be a bit from Notebook LM generated by their little podcast tool, where the two hosts talk about the script. Let's see if they think that script was as great as you thought it was.
Okay, that sounds like fun, I guess. I think I can take it.
Hey, listener, ever feel like reality's just a little too basic? Like maybe there's a hidden code, a glitch in the system we haven't cracked yet.
I see where you're going with this.
Well, buckle up, because today's deep dive throws us right into the deep end. We're tackling Schrodinger's cat is still alive.
J.T. McRoberts. Ambitious title, even for him.
Right. It's this wild screenplay, part physics head trip, part psychological thriller. Imagine a scientist, brilliant but kind of unraveling.
Obsessed with finding the universe's ultimate truth. It's a classic setup, but McRoberts, he gets under your skin with it.
Totally. So we meet Thomas, our main guy, stuck in this stark white room, only furniture. A chair, a table. And, you guessed it, that box.
The one with the cat. Both alive and dead until someone peeks in. Quantum superposition. Right. Textbook stuff, but...
But it's McRoberts, so of course it's not just about the cat. This white room, it's like Thomas's mental state, right?
Oh, absolutely. This idea that he can control reality by just thinking hard enough. Except McRoberts throws curveballs. It's not just about science. It's about the cost of chasing those big ideas. What are you willing to sacrifice? That's where things get interesting.
Okay, so picture this. Thomas starts having visions.
Right.
Or maybe they're hallucinations. First, there's Lilith. All temptation and primal energy.
Classic archetype. The shadow side of desire making him question everything.
And then enter the devil. But get this. The devil looks exactly like Thomas.
Talk about a mind game. It's like McRoberts is saying, we all have that darker impulse, that ambition that can turn destructive if we let it.
And just to make things even more complicated,
Yeah.
we've got Sylvia, Thomas's wife, popping up on this old staticky monitor.
The voice of reason, or at least the life he's chosen to leave behind in this pursuit of whatever he thinks he's going to find.
And she's worried, right? I mean, wouldn't you be? Your husband's holed up with a maybe dead cat, claiming he's going to crack the universe open?
It's a pretty big gamble, to say the least.
But it's like Act 2, that's where McRoberts really cranks up the weird. We're talking full-on visual trip. Thomas, he's playing this frantic music on the violin, the devil's tune, and his skin, it starts peeling back.
Oh, yeah, that scene, intense.
Underneath, it's all scaly, reptilian. So like literal transformation. Or just McRoberts messing with our heads, showing us how far gone Thomas is getting.
It's that ambiguity, right? That's what makes it stick with you. I mean, yeah, the primal fear thing, something inhuman lurking below the surface. But it's also like a visual metaphor. Ambition twisting you, changing you into something you don't even recognize anymore.
Especially if you're sacrificing everything else for it. Which, speaking of, Thomas escapes the White Room but twist. He's in this barren wasteland, totally alone, ends up right back where he started.
Talk about a cosmic gut punch. This cyclical thing, that's where McRoberts brings in eternal recurrence, right? Like, is Thomas doomed to repeat this? Obsessed, alone, losing everything because he's chasing the wrong kind of knowledge.
It's giving very be careful what you wish for vibes. And then, just when you think it can't get weirder, Sylvia pops up again. But is it really her? McRoberts leaves us hanging. Hallucination. Devil's trick. Or did Thomas somehow stumble back to some version of reality?
And what about the cat? Right. Did it live? Did it die? McRoberts, he never tells us. Just like that whole quantum superposition thing, he wants us stuck with the question, the uncertainty. It mirrors Thomas's whole deal, right?
100%. Man, what a trip. So, is Thomas trapped? Is there any way out of the spiral he's in?
That's the McRoberts magic, isn't it? He throws these huge questions at you, but no easy answers. That last image, the fading warehouse, the devil laughing, it's like he's saying, you figure it out. What do you think happened?
And honestly, that's what makes this whole deep dive so interesting. It's not just the science fiction of it all. It's the human stuff underneath. What choices do we make? What price are we willing to pay for what we want?
It's like McRoberts took Schrodinger's cat, this famous thought experiment, and he made it about all of us. That feeling of being in between, not sure which way things will go. Aren't we all kind of living in our own versions of that white room sometimes?
Man, that is deep. And makes you wonder, what if this whole time Thomas's real journey wasn't about cracking some cosmic code? What if it was about facing those demons inside, those choices he made that got him stuck in the first place?
Right. Maybe the biggest revelations aren't about the universe, but about ourselves. Those parts of us we try to hide, even from ourselves. McRoberts reminds us they don't go away that easily.
And maybe, just maybe, facing them head on is the only way to break free.
Whoa. We're getting philosophical here, but that's McRoberts for you. Definitely going to be thinking about this one for a while.
Me too. It's a lot to unpack, and we're not done yet. When we come back, we're going even deeper into Thomas's story. Ambition, sacrifice, the price of knowledge. Stay tuned, folks. This deep dive is far from over. You know, it's funny. We're talking about quantum physics and alternate realities, but what really gets me about Schrodinger's cat is still alive is how deeply human it is.
Absolutely.
Thomas's struggle to reconcile his ambition with his love for Sylvia, that's something we could all relate to on some level.
McRoberts doesn't shy away from those raw emotions.
He takes these grand, mind-bending concepts and grounds them in something deeply personal.
It's the fear of losing someone you love, the weight of the choices we make. Those are the things that stay with you long after you finish the screenplay.
And it makes you wonder, what's the point of unlocking the universe's secrets if you lose yourself in the process?
If you push away the people who matter most.
Right.
It's like that saying, it's lonely at the top.
Thomas is so fixated on reaching this pinnacle of knowledge, this time wave zero, that he forgets to look around and appreciate what he already has.
That white room, it's almost like a metaphor for his isolation, isn't it?
He's surrounded by infinite possibilities, but completely cut off from any real connection. And that's the tragedy of it all.
Thomas thinks he's in control, that he's the one conducting the experiment.
But in reality, he's the one being observed, the one trapped in this state of uncertainty, just like Schrodinger's cat.
And that ending, wow, it still gives me chills.
That haunting image of Sylvia reaching out to Thomas through the monitor, the warehouse fading away, the devil's laughter echoing in the background.
It's as if McRoberts is saying, be careful what you wish for.
Thomas wanted to break free from the confines of reality, to explore the unknown.
But in doing so, he might have opened a door to something he can't control, something that threatens to consume him entirely.
So are we saying that Thomas is trapped?
That there's no escape from this cycle of obsession and loss.
That's the beauty of Mick Roberts' work, isn't it?
He doesn't give us easy answers.
He leaves us with that final image, that question mark hanging in the air, and invites us to draw our own conclusions.
Did Thomas find redemption?
Or is he forever lost in the labyrinth of his own making?
It's almost as if McRoberts is turning the mirror on us, the audience.
He's asking us to consider the choices we make, the paths we choose to follow.
Are we driven by a thirst for knowledge, a desire for something more, even at the risk of losing ourselves?
And maybe, just maybe, that's the ultimate message of Schrodinger's cat is still alive.
It's not just a story about quantum mechanics or alternate dimensions. It's a story about what it means to be human, to grapple with our own ambitions and desires, and to find meaning in a universe that often feels chaotic and uncertain.
So what does this all mean for you, dear listener?
Well, I think that's for you to decide.
But if Schrodinger's cat is still alive teaches us anything, it's that the answers we seek are often far more complex and nuanced than we might imagine.
Sometimes the most important journey isn't about reaching a destination, but about understanding the path we take to get there.
And maybe, just maybe, remembering to appreciate the people we have along the way before they disappear from our lives, like a fading dream.
Beautifully said.
Until next time, keep those brain cells buzzing. And remember, sometimes the most fascinating discoveries are the ones that leave us with more questions than answers.
Fun and joy so fast. Music's in the air. Family moments shared. Went and loved ones there. Podcast everywhere. Brentocast, Brentocast. Life in every blast. Brentocast, Brentocast. Fun and joy so fast. Music's in the air, family moments share. Brent and loved ones there, podcast everywhere. Brentocast, Brentocast, life in every blast.